Good evening, everyone. This is a public meeting, the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for September 10th, 2012. Tonight, we have petitions on continuances. We also have new business and other business. I would ask everyone, if you plan on speaking on behalf of a petition, that you please sign in at the podium with your name and address before addressing the board. The first matter before us is under continuances. This is ZB 2012-27. The petition is a variance. The applicant is Jose Silva. The property is located at 20 Florence Street. The petition to construct a 24 by 24 garage within the front yard setback pursuant to section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Yes, sir. Good to see you back again.
Me again.
Yeah. So I guess, we've had a couple of meetings, and this is another continuance. And I know we've been presented with some new plans. Could you just review with us, sir, the set of new plans and
Okay.
what you're proposing now?
Okay. My name is Richard Arsenault, and I'm representing the Silvers for 20 Florence Street. And our new proposal is for a 22-foot by 24-foot garage with a flat roof and pressure-treated deck above. It will have two 9-foot by 7-foot raised panel garage doors, 2 windows on the side to match the existing windows in the house, one 3-foot by 6-foot 8 raised panel steel insulated door in the rear. That probably wasn't on the plans, but that's what they intend on putting in. And white vinyl siding to match the existing siding, and it'll have a rubber roof. And then the deck will be on top of the rubber roof, the deck and the rails. At first, we had drawn it up with the rails going like halfway, and the deck only being like 12 feet, but they wanted to deck the entire area in above the whole 22 by 24. The garage floor will match the existing basement floor at the rear of the garage. Okay. And it'll pitch 4 inches towards the garage doors, which is basically like a gas pitch. If gas ever leaks out of the vehicles, it would flow out of the garage and not cause a fire or whatever.
Yep.
The garage floor will be about 2 feet below the existing grade. It's there only because we're trying to keep it under the deck and keep it under the bay window, that picture window that they have. And, at like 6 or 8 feet in front of the garage doors, we plan to have the driveway 6 inches lower than the garage floor so that the water won't go inside the garage. And pitch towards a stone-fill leach pit. It's like a cement structure that has all holes around it, and you fill the outside of it with crushed stone, and the bottom of it has crushed stone, so the water has a place to drain. We now have more than the required front setback. It's 33 feet. But the way we have it configured, we have only 7.5 feet of rear or side, whatever it is on this lot, and that's where we need help from you guys.
So when you mentioned the 7.5 feet, is that on?
That's bordering the Patrick and Kim Sheehy's property. The Sheehy property.
Yeah, just a second.
Okay. I probably have another one of those plans if you need one. I know. We got a pile of paperwork too.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you're referencing as, okay, Kimberly Sheehy, because that's the neighbor next door,
And, yeah.
whose lot is cut a little bit differently.
This is what,
Yep.
these two lots were cut out of the
Right.
same lot at one time, belonged to,
Okay. So you're at 7.5, and if I can just pose a question, Joe, would be the requirement there, does he need the 10 or 10.5? Is that what he needs here?
Yeah, the requirement is 10 feet.
Okay. And that wasn't an issue with the initial plans, or even, I'll call it the second set of revisions? Okay. All right. Joe, based on...
most of the, I think most of the concerns about the first set of plans was it was too close to the street and the way it looked from the street.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Joe, with these latest set of plans, is there any other relief besides that section that we're looking at with this last set of plans?
Right, as you noted, as the applicant noted, the front yard setback requirement is now being met, but there is a side yard requirement that is not and should be 10. The requirement's 10, it's now 7.5. The curb opening as presented, it would be difficult to say. 24 feet is allowed if a pervious surface is utilized, but if it's an impervious hot top type of material, the curb opening is actually supposed to be 15 feet. So it could either be some kind of bulb out, so the driveway could become 24, or if it's a pervious material that's utilized, whether it be pervious concrete, pervious asphalt, pavers, it could be 24 feet wide, the entire width.
Okay, so the requirement is 24 feet for the curb opening?
Yeah, the curb opening, if a pervious material is utilized, it can go up to 24 feet.
Right, because I noticed there's a measurement on here of exactly 24 feet, proposed garage, and then the, okay, but the current curb cut is 15, you said, right?
If an impervious material is utilized for a
Right.
driveway, the curb opening requirement is of a maximum of 15 feet.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, thank you, Joe.
So that'd be asphalt or, the 15 feet, we could use asphalt, and if not, we'd have to use the pervious material.
Yep, okay. I just want to make sure, there isn't anything else that we have to address, at least at this point,
Yeah.
as far as relief. Anything else you want to add, sir?
No, we're planning on cutting a doorway from the new garage into the existing basement. And the door leading onto the existing deck will remain, and there'll be like a couple of, there'll be a little platform there, maybe 4 by 4. And then there'll be like one step onto the new deck.
Okay. Okay, if that's it, we're going to open it up to the public.
Okay?
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Hill. How are you?
Evening. Yes, my name is Greg Hill. I'm a neighbor to the Silvers, and I would like to submit a document for you guys, for your
Sure.
commission to look at.
Yep. Okay.
This document points out the reasons why we're objecting to this. Still believe safety is going to be an issue. I also believe that there's certain rights in the neighborhood to keep the neighborhood intact, and I have a picture I could show you of how it looks now. And if you add, 24 times 22, roughly 500 square feet to that area, it will be overdeveloped and to the point of affecting our values of our house. So it's all laid out here, the 3 reasons. There is no special hardship. He can, there's a special hardship which doesn't exist. The public good, the public is not served by having this driveway installed where it is with that corner that's there. You can go there and you can look. The people are cutting the corner to the extent maybe 2.5 feet of property that he has lost by people turning the corner too fast. There will be an accident there. Somebody will get hurt. That's a fact. And the other objection is the intent of the zoning laws, that there was a feeling, I guess, back in 2004, you were compelled to take an action to make sure that the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood was preserved. If I can show you the picture of the neighbor of Mr. Silva, Sheehy, there is a barn that's been put in there, unpermitted. I knew nothing about it. Nobody knew anything about it. It just showed up one day. Adjacent to that, the 7.5 feet that you're talking about, you're going to be adding 500 square feet of a garage with a top deck. And God knows what may happen after that. Maybe there'll be a second story. And at this point, I'd like to show you that picture so you can see for yourself what I'm looking at every day.
Okay, so what's the picture you want to show us again? Did you mention it's the Sheehy property?
It's a picture from Thornton Avenue
Yep,
going towards Virginia.
okay,
Mr. Silva's house will be on the right where he
yep,
proposed us for the garage. You'll see Mr. Sheehy's barn and his house.
okay, so Mr. Sheehy's barn isn't before us tonight, you understand that,
I
right?
understand it, but it goes to the integrity of the neighborhood, the character of the neighborhood.
Yep,
Add 500 square feet to this picture, and
Yep.
you can see the effect that it has. It's overdeveloped at the expense of my property and other property around there.
okay, when you use the term overdeveloped, can you just explain that a little bit more? I'm just trying to visualize what you mean by overdeveloped.
I can show you in the picture. Can I do
Okay,
that?
all right, sure.
See, right here is the Sheehy property. Now, this right here is what I'm calling a barn. Look at the roof of that, it's bigger than the roof of the side. This is actually almost like 2 houses. It's wider than that. To this area, you're gonna add 500 square feet. In front
Right.
of- in front
This
of-
is Sousa's home, right?
Yes,
Right here, right? This is the Sheehy residence, this is the structure you're talking about, which is on the other side of the fence, right?
and we're gonna put the garage in, will be right there, 500 more
Mhm.
square feet of building.
Okay. Can you leave that with the board? I'd like all the members to take a look at this. Any other submittals you have?
This will be another picture
Okay,
from my property, looking
yep.
up at the Sheehy house. This is the.
You'd be here looking this way, right? Yep,
It showed up one day.
okay. All right, thank you. Anything else you'd like to add at this point, Mr. Hill?
I don't know where it goes from here.
We're going to continue the meeting, that's
Be
where it goes.
continued.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Opposition, opposition, hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. I'm going to give the board a minute to take a look at these pictures. Okay, so for the record, Mr. Hills provided two pictures of the neighborhood. Specifically, one view is looking at the property that's here for the petition, taking a look from the Thornton Ave view, and then there's a second view that would be from Mr. Hill's house, looking towards the Sheehy property and also the petitioner's house that's up for review. So with that said, I'm going to move it to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to state that this is a much more appealing scenario that you've got before us than we've seen in previous. I think that this is a huge step forward. I really enjoy the orientation that you have for the garage now with the pavement. It seems like we have less impervious cover on the site with the new orientation for the driveway. And the idea that you're seeking relief, dimensional relief on that back side yard setback of only 2.5 feet, I think is a reasonable request, judging from the nature of the site having a unusual shape, which I think anyone can see that here. I think the height of the garage is nicely reduced with that deck, so you have less of an impact. The fact that the garage is now a little bit lower on the site is another big win, less of an impact again. It steps back away from the building so that it has less of an impact on the street, follows zoning as far as I can see, except for that one-dimensional requirement. I do worry about the fact that we have 24 feet as a front curb cut versus the 15 feet with the expectation that you're doing some kind of asphalt pavement system, I believe. Is that correct?
Well, if we had to do...
Sir, can you address us from the podium, please? Thank you.
If we have to do the pervious driveway, that's what we're going to have to do. They would like to do asphalt, but if they can't, then they're going to have to...
Well, is it possible for a combination of
15 feet of...
asphalt and then
and flare it out in the
flare it out
back
with
too.
it,
Oh,
and
that'd
then
be a good,
the
that'd be a
9
good
feet
solution.
of pavers or something? I know that pavers don't tend to have a good long-term solution because with frost heaves, they definitely move around a lot.
Yeah. Plus, we're going to have that little swale or whatever in front of the, somewhere.
I'm not so sure it's as big an issue on your lot because you are pitching back, so you're not actually contributing drainage to the street system. You're actually, so I don't see it as big an issue, so I'm not so sure we need to worry about it that much here because, like I say, you're not contributing a lot of water to the street drainage system, but I think this is a huge step forward, and I really think that you've done a nice job.
Was Jose came up with that along with ideas from the board.
Great job.
Yeah.
Great job. Okay. I don't have in front of me in the application what you stated as meeting the 3 prerequisites for a variance. The hardship and that you feel, just kind of a narrative stating that. Was that?
No, we didn't. I think the hardship here is the way the lots are shaped and the way these people bought this house figuring they had a 10,000 square foot lot, and I would too. I'm a builder, and I would say, geez, I'm gonna have no problem putting a 2-car garage onto this house with no problem. And that was their intent. They wanted a 2-car garage, and when they go to do it, they can't do it.
Okay.
You'd think that a 10,000 square foot lot, you'd easily get a 2-car garage on.
There's no automatics in this world.
No, I know. We thought the last time we came was an automatic, but...
Okay. Okay. Well, again, I think that this is a great step forward. I feel that this is something that I feel I could step behind and support. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree with what Dennis is saying. I think this is a great compromise based on our multiple meetings that we've had over the past couple months. I agree. I mean, basically, you guys are looking for a 2.5-foot variance now, based on a jagged edge in the back of the property that was not caused by your clients. So I don't have a problem with that, honestly. So I definitely can see how that is, a solution or a way around it. I think it's probably, an initial concern that we talked about was that corner. It's an odd shape coming around that, coming from the street that leads into it. I think this is probably a safer solution, assuming that they're gonna use the garage. Right now, they're parked there, kind of blocking that view, so hopefully if the cars can move underground into the garage, it'll make it that much safer from a viewing perspective. So I appreciate your efforts on this, and I want to thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree with my colleagues, to the petitioners and the builder. Third time in, many changes to the plan, working with the planning board and the board itself. Coming back to the 2-foot variance, seem to be leaning toward that direction and being okay with it, but I do have one question through you, Mr. Chairman, to Joe. Joe, as it relates to the new plan submitted tonight with an existing deck, does that change the application from the petitioner, or is it inclusive, or will we need a building plan or permit to move forward in that light?
Well, if the board were looking to approve the petition, a building permit would have to be filed to construct the garage. The type of relief, even though it's changing from a front to a side setback, is still the same type of relief, so
Okay.
it could still go forward tonight if the board didn't want to take action on the petition.
So we could move forward with this petition, you would just have to move forward a second set of plans, get those approved for the deck through the building department. Yeah,
Right,
follow that venue?
Right, any construction would have to go through the building department for
Okay.
a permit, yep.
Thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Gary. Corey?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I'm in agreement with my colleagues. Jesus' petition had several challenges, in the early stages. It didn't look good, but I handed it to the petitioner, and the builder did, anything and everything this board asked of you. And I think this is, it does fit in character with the neighborhood. I believe you do show a hardship here, which qualifies for a variance with the, I want to say, northwest corner of the lot, how it angles in. You're at a serious disadvantage here, where most of the neighborhood lots are perfectly square. So I think you do display a hardship here, which qualifies you for a variance in my mind. And I think it's a great project, and if this does get approved, I hope it offers many years' enjoyment for the petitioner. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Corey. Van?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to extend the same gratitude. I know you've been here a few different times, and you worked with us and approved and rearranged all the plans. So I just want to say thank you for being so compromising. And if I was able to vote, I would vote in favor of this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I guess, Joe, I have a question for you. Now, with the new set of plans, has the city engineers, do we need a city engineer to take another look at, I'll call it the final submittal that's been put in here regarding, I know the city engineer had some comments regarding the driveway specifically.
Yeah, the city engineer had reviewed it also for sightlines along with the transportation engineer. With any building permit plans, the engineering office does have a review of those. If there was any issues with the drainage pit or anything like that, they would have some sort of say in that. But the engineer didn't have any further comments based on the new plans.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, well, I think the members of the board have pretty much summed up, I guess, my feeling on this. I mean, this petitioner actually has come before us 3 different times. Each time we've come back with more questions, and which led to more design work. And seeing as the board, in its wisdom, reviewing these last set of plans, you know, I would say it's a plan that meets the requirements. So said, I also believe there is a challenge of relief because, to your point, Mr. Arsenal, you're talking about a 10,000 square foot lot, and I believe at the very first meeting we talked about it, how this lot is actually not squared off, as I usually use that term. And because of the size and shape of this lot, there is some challenges just to add on the way you've been trying to. And there's also been challenges, to Mr. Hill's point about safety in the area. And seeing as we've had a few different departments review this, you've come in here with 3 different set of plans. I believe, based on the criteria that, you know, I support this new set of plans. I also recognize Mr. Hill's concerns about what this could potentially do. But I firmly believe if you really take a look at other structures that are out there, and if we use the neighbor that's right on the opposite corner, obviously, if you just look at the scale of that home and the size of it, this home is definitely, you know, even from a height perspective, much lower. So with that said, I don't believe, somebody on the board can correct me if I'm wrong, were there any conditions that we need to apply for this petition? Nope. Okay, so with that said, could I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZBA 2012-27 at 20 Florence Street for a variance for a 24 by 24 garage. Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Do I have a roll call?
Mr. Bailey?
Approved.
Mr. Belanger?
Approve.
Mr. Ahern?
Approve. Approve.
Mr. Perrin?
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approve.
Okay, Mr. Arsenal and the Silvers, you've been approved. Hopefully, we see a nice finished product out there, and it's built to the last set of conditions. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Would like to thank the board for all your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir. Okay, the next matter before us is still under continuances. This is ZB 2012-33. The petition is a variance. The applicant is Shang Ra M. Sray, property located at 30 Chippewa Street. Petition to install a new carport that does not meet rear, side, and distance from dwelling setbacks pursuant to Section 4.3.5 and Section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Is Mr. Sray here? How are you doing, sir?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yep. So I know at our last meeting,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
oh, I know, I was waiting for him to go by. At our last meeting, we had continued it because we had a couple of concerns and observations we wanted to have performed. So it's my understanding that the building inspector came out to the site, did a review of the site, excuse me, and my understanding, and this gentleman was in attendance while the city was there. Is that true, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yep, okay. And we received some pictures that the inspector had taken, and there's also a write-up of their observations. Joe, did this gentleman get a chance to look at these at all, or?
The building inspector just gave me those at 4 o'clock this afternoon, so I haven't given him the
Okay,
write-up, but he was there for the
Yep.
visit.
okay. So we have 3 pages here, just so you know. Can they have a copy? Do you have an extra copy of that? If you can just take a look at it, there's three pages with pictures, but the summary up top is the same on each of the 3 pages. If you want to just read through that top section, and it'll outline for you their observations. So I'll give you a couple of minutes if you can just read through that, please. Thank you. Okay, do you understand the write-up? You know, obviously, they found a couple of areas of concern.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And as I say, I believe this gentleman was there. So a couple of things that my concern was, obviously, we knew there wasn't a permit pulled for the structure, and we kind of went through that whole thing. So it looks like, you know, based on their observations, they talk about, you know, the footings. I think there was a concern maybe about the thickness of the footings, and it looks like over time already, even though that's only been up, was it like only a year? Is that what you had stated the last time you were in here? This particular structure has only been there about a year?
Not a new one.
No, the new one about a couple months.
Couple months.
No, not a month, maybe.
Okay.
Just, yeah.
I thought there was a carport there, I'm gonna say, I heard somebody say like 10 years ago, or had been
Oh,
there.
yeah, the old one was there for about
Correct,
10
the old
years.
one. And then this one replaced the old one.
Yeah.
Right.
And
We
I,
replaced this in
if
April.
memory serves me right, I believe this was like approximately a year old, or is it less than a year old?
The one that's up right now?
Yeah.
It was up since April.
April, okay,
April.
so it's fairly new.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would mean, I guess, the footings that they're talking about and the thickness of the footings obviously must have been from the previous structure that was in there. So nothing's really been done to those footings since the original one was put in.
No, sir.
So I believe you have a larger and probably a more sturdier one that's been put in there this time.
I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah. And then there was also, the other concern I had was regard to safety, and I see they've also made mention of reduce the size of the second means of egress by approximately 12 inches, which was in the case of the emergency. So, based on their observations, 12 inches a foot, I mean, it's not, at least they didn't come back with something, you know, dramatic that we need to change it by. So I guess, you know, Joe, I don't think there was, besides building inspection and fire department, was there any other departments we had asked to go out there and take a look? I don't believe so, right?
No, no,
Okay.
just
It was
building and
structural
fire.
integrity and safety. were the
Correct.
two. Yep, okay. Do you have anything you want to add at this point, sir?
He talked to the fire department earlier, and
Yeah.
they told him to just reduce the front by 2 feet.
2 feet, okay,
2 feet.
good, good.
Um,
Okay.
I'm not sure what footings. It's not supported by footings. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, the footings, they're talking about the depth. In fact, I think there was reference to Do they talk about the, yeah, the lag bolts, using lag bolts, a concrete pad? That's what they're talking about, the footings. In other words, you usually got to build a footing within a certain amount of distance
okay,
and depth.
okay,
With,
right.
in fact, they talk about frost protection.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else you want to add at this point?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it back up to the public again. Anyone here like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none. That portion of public hearing is closed. Going to open up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I guess the comments that we got back are not surprising, but the one that I think concerns me the most is since we're establishing the structure as a permanent structure, not a temporary structure, we do have to worry about the safety of the structure with uplift and the fact that it has a substandard foundation system that wouldn't meet building code. So it would seem that you would be obligated, if the structure were to remain, at least do a new foundation system for the structure in order to meet building code, which I think would be rather substantial work. It basically means removing it, I think, unfortunately, in order to prepare a foundation system. And so in light of that kind of scenario, I don't know if I would be in favor of approving a variance for structures so close to the setbacks as a permanent structure. Because you're looking for substantial relief here. Substantial relief. So I guess if we're evaluating this as a permanent structure, which, you know, it doesn't look like a permanent structure, but it is in how we're evaluating this, which I guess would then lead you to then potentially enclose it and put a garage door on it someday and make it a full-fledged four-walled garage if you needed to, I guess. I'm not ready to give. I don't see the hardship here to grant relief that you're asking for, the substantial relief. I don't see a hardship that would warrant us to basically eliminate a rear yard setback. You're going to 6 inches in the rear yard, so. In light of it being a permanent structure, and in light of the fact that we're looking at a new foundation system for it to become a permanent structure, I'm not in support of this, I guess is what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree with Dennis. I have some hesitations because it's been there for a long time. It's been replaced an old one. I don't like the looks of it, honestly, aesthetically or anything. I think it just takes away from the character of the neighborhood as far as it's kind of a structure that's thrown in there. I understand its intent, but based on what we have to deal with it, as far as it's being a permanent structure, I think from a safety standpoint, as well as egress and a lot of other things to take into consideration, it's just a structure that is too cumbersome to take over the variance that we're looking for. Being 6 inches off the back lot and only 2 feet rather off the side lot, and now being deemed a permanent structure, it's just overwhelming for a variance, in my opinion. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. In light of what we received tonight in regards to the pictures and the narratives related to, my main concern was the safety of the structure. It's evident that, once again, in the city, I am extremely frustrated with these corporations and companies coming into the city of Lowell and, in my opinion, taking advantage of the citizens of this city by selling their wares and not making them aware of the detriment that they're subjected to by zoning board, building codes, and the like. So I wanted to make that part of the public record because these things seem to be popping up throughout the city, improperly built, causing safety issues, not only to the residents, but to emergency personnel that may have to place their lives on the line at some point. In light of that fact, I do have to concur with my colleagues that the criteria for the variance is not being met here tonight. However, you're not to your approval, it was your detriment, I will say again, by this builder. I don't know if we have an opportunity to find out if this is the same company that has done this in the past. I would hope that with what the hard work that Inspectional Service is doing throughout the city, finding these things, that we will have at some point some ability to restrain them from doing these things in our city and subjecting our citizens to this type of monetary setback, if you will. So I want to make that part of the public record. I know we talked earlier, and I asked the petitioner, it was an online company. Was out of North Carolina, if my memory serves me?
I think it's based in North Carolina, but I think they have a
They subbed it out to them.
outpost or something on Route 110.
Yeah, they sub it out to themselves, and they use the storefront out in 110, which, again, in my opinion, is not a valid way to do business. However, we have to look at the application, we have to look at the variance, we have to look at the requisites of the variance, and unfortunately, you're subject to those as the homeowner. So I guess due diligence is always proper. And in this case, I don't think you were properly given the correct information. That being said, moving forward, I do not feel as though you meet the requirements for the variance. Just wanted to have that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Corey?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I do share some of the frustrations as my colleagues. To the petitioner's credit, I mean, this, yes, was put up without a permit, which, of course, this board will frown upon at all times, but there was one there existing, and you think, you know, in the homeowner's mind, they're just replacing what was there, and may very well be an honest mistake, thinking, you know, it's already there, we're just replacing it with a new one. So I don't think this board or myself is insinuating that the applicant is intentionally misled or done anything wrong. But, you know, as the board reviewed it last meeting, you know, we did have safety concerns, fire and structure issues, and, you know, that's what we can't answer, and that's why we sent out the building department there to investigate this. And turns out you're going to need something more along the lines of, you know, a foundation to make this safe. And you have to move it back, which is, you know, you got a lot of criteria to meet now to make this work. You're in the thousands now, in my opinion. It'll involve either removing it or breaking it down. I mean, I'm willing, due to the fact that, you know, in my mind, this is pre-existing, there was a structure there already. Your abutters are not here in opposition, but I want all this criteria met, set forth by the fire and building codes. So you have quite a project on your hands now at this time. It could be very, very costly. You know, that's the only way I'll support this. If, you know, you do anything and everything that's asked of you through the building department and the fire department to make this structure safe, is the only way I will support this. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Corey. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just by the comments of the building inspector, even the latest construction site, it says that the concrete slab is already showing wear and tear and stress. So I just want to say that, you know, it's unfortunate that these contractors or these companies come in and they do this kind of work, and you know, you expect them to kind of know all the ins and outs and get all the proper permits and do right by you, but I really think that the contractors took advantage of the clients and unfortunately, you have to pay the cost. So sorry for you guys. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van. Sir, did the gentleman get an invoice or did he sign a contract? Was there anything, do you have in writing when he had this work done?
This is the only contract.
No,
This is the only thing you sign.
yeah.
This is all we have. It's like a receipt,
Yeah.
sort of.
Okay. So, Joe, Dennis's point, I think Dennis asked this at the last meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, but the issue about permanent structure versus non-permanent, did you say that the building department has deemed, like this particular one, a permanent structure?
Correct, yeah, this type of structure would be deemed a permanent structure.
Okay. So what would be deemed non-permanent with these same type of carports?
I don't really know many carports that would be deemed temporary.
Yeah, and this isn't to put you in the spot, but, we've had carports come in here before. This is definitely the largest one we've ever seen so far. And I guess I'd call more of at least structurally, the size of it. And obviously, this gentleman went and brought a company in, obviously had a carport there before. We don't know what it looked like before, where it was situated. I guess the gentleman probably should have researched first, the city's rules and regulations on putting up a structure and what you need for variances. But it's kind of like Gary's saying, we've talked about this before with companies coming into the city and selling their services, and it'd be nice if the public was fully aware that they should be seeking through I'm going to call it a contractor, if they are contractors, that permits are pulled. So I can see from a perspective of knowledge of regular citizens, they're probably just not aware of, and probably don't think of a carport as a permanent structure. Unfortunately, I don't see how you're going to pick this up and move it. I mean, if we're going to meet the requirements, I would think the more you bring it forward, I don't think you're still going to run into issues. I really hate to see the cost of this moved, and I don't know what he paid for it, and I really don't care. But obviously, this gentleman had something put up, and now we're basically going to rule that it's time to take it down because it doesn't meet the requirements of the city. So I have a little bit of an issue with this one, that you didn't follow the rules and regulations, but I can also understand, the type of structure we're talking about and what we, as a board, have entertained before. Is there any way to break these down, and to your knowledge?
You know how we would take it down? How do you take it down? You have to call them back?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Maybe I don't think they come back, take it down, or maybe take it down by myself.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk to them and see what they say. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if
We
this
really
was
don't
just
know.
put up in April, I'm not giving you legal advice, but, obviously, were you hoodwinked? Maybe. I can't speak to that, but.
I'm not sure. I wasn't
No,
there.
I know.
Yeah.
No, I really wish, and I have to concur with the board members, it's literally sitting on the back of that land, and it's really encroaching on the backside of the properties. And again, I keep coming back to the structure of it, If it was smaller, maybe we could work around this and maybe come up with a solution, but just due to the actual size of it. So, I am going to support the rest of the board members on this one, but I really feel that, again, Joe, we've talked about this before. I don't know what the city can do, but it just seems like, I don't feel like having another one of these that we're going to be faced with again, and I don't know how we control it, and I'll leave that up to the city fathers, so. All right, any other comments before we have a motion? Okay, could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is ZBA 2012-33 for a variance at 30 Chippewa Street. Make a motion to approve.
I have a second.
Second motion.
Have a roll call?
Mr. Bailey?
Denied.
Mr. Belanger?
Deny.
Mr. Ahern?
Deny.
Mr. Parent?
Denied.
Mr. McCarthy?
Denied.
Okay, sir, the petition's been denied, and I guess I would just leave you with this. I'd, take whatever course of action you need to take with this, and maybe something will come out with it, you know what I mean? But, sorry I had to come down to this, but I wish this gentleman the best of luck with however it turns out. Okay.
Do we need a permit to take it down? Do we need a refile for a permit?
Yes, there will be a permit required for demolition.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next matter before us is under new business. This is ZB 2012-37. The petition's a variance. The applicant is James and Mary Katsaribas. Property is located at 835 Chelmsford Street. The petition to convert a single-family to a two-family dwelling without the required lot area per dwelling unit pursuant to Section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, Mrs. Katsaribas.
It's only Mrs. James has been passed away for 11 years, but I've had continual problems in getting his name off the tax bills.
Okay. If you could introduce yourself and tell us about what you'd like to do.
It's just the same home I've lived in for 34 years, and as I approach retirement, it's a 7-room house. It's too big, so it works for me to turn it into a 2-family. I want to stay there. I don't want to leave.
Yep.
But it's too big a house to go into the future. And turning it into a 2-family seems very viable for me, for the neighborhood. I'm not changing any portion of the front and even the back structure, only the stairway that you see in the plans. So I see it as going along with the tone of the neighborhood. It's Chelmsford Street. The opposite side is totally commercial. My side is all residential. The home itself is directly across the street from the 99 and the Lowe's Home Improvement Center.
Okay. Well, I can just speak for myself, but I appreciate the set of plans that you did give us, and I also know that you provided some, I guess I'll call it, rebuttal or commentary to some of the questions that the Department of Planning and Development had with some of the questions that they put forward to us, to you. So I was very appreciative of the plans. Now, it looks like the plan for the rear of the building, you have an existing 2-car garage back there, so do you plan on maintaining that for your use?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Doesn't show in the picture that you see, but that stairway runs right alongside a fence. This drawing doesn't depict the neighbor next door, so it doesn't interfere with the fence or the driveway. It stops approximately 22 feet before the driveway, so I have plenty of room to exit.
Is the property, I guess, facing your home to the left, is that a shared driveway you have?
To the left it is.
Yep.
That is correct.
Okay. And I would assume, has that been in existence since you've been there?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
It was actually my father-in-law who built those 2 duplexes.
Okay.
The original property just contained this main home.
Yep. So who does the shoveling?
We have a plow guy that we share.
Okay.
My neighbor is very
Yep.
appreciative of this property, my property, because she has no place to put the snow.
Okay. So on your plans, you show new decking being put up?
Correct.
Yeah. Based on, in the event if it moves to a two-family?
Correct.
So you're going to, the plan is you would occupy up or down?
I will stay down.
Down, okay,
The upwards for my brother and sister-in-law who are here with me.
okay. So I see the deck that's on the, I guess I'll call it on the second floor. Is that to be used, are the two decks, the two new decks above, are those to be used by the new tenants, or is that to be shared?
No, the top deck is just a landing. That's
Okay.
basically going to be for my daughter.
Okay.
That's not an apartment. That's just a living space, but it has to have an egress.
Okay, yeah, because I know she have the stairs running all the way up
Right.
there anyways. All right. And the parking, the new parking, there would be two spots to the left of the existing garage, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
You could actually get 3 if I
Okay.
needed to.
Yep, but the plans show 2 at this point, correct?
Right, right.
Yep. Do you plan on striping that at all, or do you plan on just leaving as it is?
No, no, it's not going to be any kind of a
Yep.
commercial rental. It's still a private home with a second-floor apartment.
Yep, no, just need to ask the question.
It's all family, so
Yeah.
we'll figure out the parking.
Right, okay. I don't believe we received any communication from any abutters, at least at this point, either for or against your project. And so with that said, do you have anything else you want to add at this point?
No, just that I hope it gets approved and speedily.
Okay. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to open it up to the public, and then we'll move it to the board. All righty?
Okay, so what does that mean? It's already been in the paper? It goes
Means
in-
you can comfortably take a seat right now, and then we're gonna take it up with the public, and then the board members will ask some questions if they have any. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name's Ken Katsarivas. I was raised in that house, and I would very much appreciate a chance to get back. And it will afford my wife and I reasonable living space. We'll be able to help Mary with the maintenance and the day-to-day care of the property. So it's potentially a win-win, we hope. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Anyone else like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just want to commend you on how you maintain the property. It looks great. And I imagine on a busy street like that across from a commercial district, you know, having a residential property look as good as that is to be commended. I'm puzzled by the variance right up here. I think we're looking for you to show hardship. And I think you wrote in here, I don't see where a variance is needed for special hardship, so I don't know if you really intended that. What we're looking for is to establish one of the 3 criteria for variance is special hardship owing to circumstances relating to the soil conditions, shape, or topography of such land or structures, and especially affecting such land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district.
I had to have someone explain that to me because I really didn't get it. It's zoned for a 2-family, and I didn't really understand topography issues because I'm not really adding a structure.
So sometimes sites are on a slope, a steep slope, or in a valley, so there's unusual topography scenarios that you don't have. You have a flat site, so you don't really have a topography hardship. And
Right.
sometimes sites have boundary lines, property lines that are deep cuts into them and jagged edges and that kind of thing. And you, again, don't have that kind of hardship, so you don't really seem to classify. I'm struggling with that, because we're granting a substantial variance here from zoning, where you're obligated to have a lot size, I think, is 4,000 square feet per residence. So, you know, you're at 6,000, so you're 2,000 square feet less per zoning.
Right, but
to
there's
achieve
those
that
substantial variances all up and down the street of other two families very similar to mine.
You're absolutely right, but we don't grant a variance based on what other people have. We grant, everything stands on its own merit. So we can't use that as a milestone to say, because other people have it, you can have it too. So
Right.
I'm
Well,
stuck with
that
how
was-
you're defining hardship here.
Probably part of my misunderstanding, that I thought it did have more to do with the tone of the neighborhood when I was requesting to convert this from a one-family to a two. And then that whole side of the street is zoned for two families, many of them looking exactly like my house. And similar lot size to my house.
There's a substantial number of properties still that are single-family, I believe, on that side.
It's a mix of both. I don't
There's a
disagree.
Mix of both, correct, yep, just to be clear. I think that we have a family that's intact in the house that wants to maintain the house, and I'm trying to figure out here how to, in my mind, get my hands around this need for converting this to a two-family with a substantial hardship. I think that you have a viable project here. I think that makes sense, but I'm just trying to get over this. So I'm going to listen to my colleagues and see if anything clicks. But it looks straightforward. You have a large structure. You seem to have a simple plan here. There's no quirks in it that I see that are substantial. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Dennis is right. I mean, for the board to approve, disapprove, there's three criteria. The hardship is one that is tough to see in this situation. In my opinion, it looks like a good project. It's going to be family inhabited. My concern more is potentially in the future when we all pass on in 20, 30, whatever, 50 years, what happens to the house? Does it become a rental income? And it becomes a different use for the property. So that's more where I'm concerned. But based on the situation, I think you need 8,000 square feet. I think the lot now is around 6,700 square feet. In my opinion, it's something that can be overlooked because I agree that that street is based on multiple two families with much smaller lots in some instances driving up and down. You seem to have enough property in the back for parking and things of that nature, and the property is well kept. So, you know, I guess all in all, I'm in support of the project, but I do have some concerns just converting 1 to 2 just because it's going to be easier from an economic standpoint.
Well, it's not just that, don't get me wrong. I've thought about the house for the future. You know, if something happened and I was sick and did have to sell it, or, you know, if I pass away and my children do, the second floor apartment will have the attic finished. I see that as a continuing great residential property on Chelmsford Street for a family someday, because upstairs, the second floor apartment with the attic could be a 3-bedroom apartment and a nice small rental downstairs for a young couple. That's how a lot of people buy houses these days, to
I agree.
have a rental
I agree,
property.
yeah. Owner-occupied would be the preferential situation.
And there's a yard. It's not a huge yard, but there's a grassy yard in an area behind the garage for a family down the line. So I'm thinking about all that. I mean, I did that. I raised a family there.
Right, yeah, I
on
don't
that
disagree, yeah.
property.
It was a single family, and I'm sure they used the driveway to its full extent. So I hear what you're saying. I see the project. I understand it. I understand why. It's just more future concerns that I have in my mind, even more so than the zoning aspect of it, as far as the variance of the lot size. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the petitioner. I'd like to preface my comments by saying your package is very well prepared. I appreciate the detail in the plans. It appears as though the homework has been done by all. The property in question is, if approved, is gonna, in my opinion, is gonna hold value to the neighborhood, aesthetically. The rear of it with the stairs going to that landing you said was just gonna, that's the egress to from the attic, which is currently unoccupied.
Nobody's up there now.
It's just an
But I
attic.
figure while I'm doing all this, I'll
Just
finish
an
it.
attic. Okay. And you've been there since 1979?
Correct.
Okay. Taxpayer in the city of Lowell the entire time, correct? Okay. My only concerns are, what may happen in the future, and if that hardship is met now and in the future, and obviously that's a concern about my colleagues as well. I noticed you did answer some questions related to the city in detail, and I do appreciate that. It is a two-family along the entire stretch of the way on that Chelmsford Street area, a budding commercial property. I can see from a personal standpoint your desire and your need moving forward. I just need to clarify a few things as it relates to the hardship, if it's actually met. But I just wanted to put that on the record as a very well-maintained home.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that as well. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Joe, could I ask a couple of questions? When we receive the comments back from the department, the applicant provide a plot plan with the following additional elements at a minimum. With their plot plan, or set of plans that they provided, did they meet the three bullets that were in here regarding the comments from DPD?
Based on the 3 items that were in the updated comments provided to the board, it does seem like they put those 3 items on the updated plot plan,
Okay,
yes.
so they were included.
It does seem to be,
Yep.
yes.
Okay. Doesn't include number of elements required. And the other comment that was just above that, updated plan, as the plan submitted does not include a number of elements required for a variance application. Did they friendly meet that comment?
It does appear like the updated plot plan has addressed a number of the items that were missing from the original plan that was submitted. There is some topography indicated on the plan, as Mr. McCarthy noted, is pretty flat, and they did provide those other items that were specifically highlighted in the updated comments even, so it does look like the plan is meeting those requirements.
Okay, thank you. Corey?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chairman. Now, I got a question for the petitioners. Now, Mary, how many bedrooms would this unit include?
Each would be a one-bedroom apartment.
1 bedroom in the attic? Okay.
No, not the attic. I'm not zoned for a 3-family. It's
Oh.
first floor and a second floor.
Okay, I thought I heard you mention attic earlier. Okay. Okay, so what floor is this unit going to be on?
First and second,
First and second?
correct.
It's only going to be a 1-bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I'm by myself and Kenny and Marcia's.
How many bedrooms is the home now, may I ask?
3.
3. So you're going to have a 3-bedroom and a 1-bedroom, or you're going to have a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom?
1 bedroom down, 1 bedroom up. And then the other bedroom that was upstairs will become the kitchen. The second bedroom that was upstairs will become the sitting room.
Okay, my question is, you have 3 bedrooms currently.
Now, all upstairs.
Okay, if this does get approved, hypothetically speaking, 2 units will still have a combined 3 bedrooms, or 2? Combined between the units now I'm
Between
talking.
the 2 units, it'd be 2 bedrooms. 2 one-bedroom apartments.
Oh, so you'll be cutting down the number of, okay.
Right.
All right, well, that's interesting. Well, I did go out to the property this afternoon, and much like the other board member stated, I commend you for a meticulously maintained home.
Thank you.
Now, let's keep in mind, upgrading to single to a twos is something very difficult in the city with the parking situation. But to your credit, you do have a garage with plenty of off-street parking. That's certainly in your favor. The neighborhood is not out of the character of the neighborhood. There are several multis, as we all know, in that neighborhood. Up near your end, it seems to be a little more spread out, so that helps your situation as well. As some of the board members said, meeting the criteria of a variance is, yes, a bit of a challenge on this one, but in my opinion, there are exceptions to the rule. But I think, the way you've maintained your home, you've been there long-term, you're cutting down a bedroom in one sense. I think you've earned your right to a multifamily.
Good.
But under this condition, it pertains to your ownership only. Now, if you go to sell this home, I will make it a condition that it comes back to this board for approval. So basically, I want it arranged so you're unable to market this as a two-family. I don't mind helping you. You've been a nice resident and taxpayer of the city for many years, and again, I think you have earned your right. But and I do respect my colleagues' concerns. 20 years down the road, if this property sells, what's going to happen? That's their concern, and I understand that fully. But I'd like to put a condition on this that if this property is conveyed, it comes back to this board for approval. Now, Joe, is that within our rights?
No, it is not.
It is not.
The variance runs with the
I don't
land.
understand what you're asking,
Okay.
what your
hold on a minute.
concern.
Joe, so was that?
No,
were we
variance runs with the land. It runs with the property, not the property owner.
It's okay, so we're unable to do that?
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, I would like to keep an eye on it, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. 2 one-bedrooms, I think, is doable in that neighborhood with the
You have to
park.
see it for the future, that's what I was just saying. The downstairs is a one-bedroom, that is what it is. But the second floor right now is a one-bedroom, but that's one reason I'm having the attic refinished. If I sell this home, I would like to see it sold to a young family, just the way my husband and I were when we started living there. I mean, I love the house, I love the neighborhood.
I understand, you're doing this for family owner-occupied, I understand that, but again, it's years down the road when this property is sold. We don't want to see this property overpopulated and parked cars all over the street and driveway.
Oh, no, I
that's-
agree with you 100%.
Well, that's something we need to look at as a board, but since there are 2 one-bedroom units, I'm willing to support this petition. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Corey. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I just want to say that this, like my other colleague said, the pack is very well put together.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful home. And, for the prerequisites, what I've noticed is out of the 3, I think you have 2 out of 3, in my opinion. And I think this board, well, I'm speaking for myself, but I think they want to help approve this petition, but it's the prerequisites that's getting to everybody. But like I said, in my opinion, I think you meet 2 of the 3 criterias. So if I was a voting member, I would probably vote to approve this. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Fan. Mrs. Katsaribas, you have 7 rooms, correct?
No, yeah.
Yeah. Is it 4 and 3, 3 and 4? How's it set up?
4
right
and 3. It's 2 sitting rooms, kitchen, the dining room downstairs, and 3 bedrooms up with a bathroom up and a half bath down.
now? Okay. So you got 3 up. You're going to need a bathroom up. What do you got upstairs for a bathroom?
Bathroom already. Downstairs, a half bath, so there'll be a wall knocked out and a shower put down there.
Okay. So you're going to stay with 3 rooms upstairs, and you
3
have a
rooms
bath.
down.
Now, what are you going to do for a kitchen?
Upstairs,
Yep.
the back bedroom towards the garage will be the kitchen, because downstairs, that's where the,
Okay. There isn't a pre-existing kitchen in there right now?
no,
There's nothing
that's
right
why
now?
the plumbing is, that will go directly up.
Okay. And your lot is 6771, you need 6,000 for TTF. That's the way I read this, right?
Requirement's 6,000 for a single family, but it would be 8,000 for a two-family because it's 4,000 for lot area per dwelling unit.
Okay.
So 8,000 would be for
I didn't have
two-family.
anything else to really go on, and I was looking at what was presented here. So it's 4 and 4, so the minimum is 8?
Correct.
Okay. So as far as the structure doesn't meet the requirements, right?
Right, lot area per dwelling unit is a variance
So
that's
is there a
required.
variance for that the current structure is less than? Are they seeking relief because they don't meet the minimum of 8,000? Is that a,
Right, that's one of the variances required for this petition is the lot area per dwelling unit.
right, so if we, I know a couple of the board members mentioned, the conditions. So as far as, hardship, obviously this structure is less than that is required, and the neighborhood is definitely a mix. I know if we just look at your property, the two neighbors on either side are both multifamily.
Duplexes, yeah.
Correct, yeah. And they're duplexes, they're not triplexes, or, they're both duplexes, and I think those homes have pretty much been the same for many, many years.
My father-in-law built them.
Yeah, and I've lived up in that area quite a long time myself. So I can kind of echo some of the comments that Corey made in regards to this. I mean, I know I've made I won't call it a past practice, but when people come in here, and if they've resided in a certain home for X amount of years, it's not to skirt the conditions that the city has, but, you've been there 34 years, according to your statement, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you plan on staying there,
I do.
correct?
This is my retirement plan.
Yep. And, if the relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, I believe you meet that, and also the relief would be granted without nullifying, substantially degrading from the intent of the zoning. I don't think the intention here is to try to slap something in. I understand what Corey was trying to ask you regarding, the sale of the home. And I know we can't go down that road, but I would actually support this petition just based on the factors that I just mentioned. And is there any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, do
Any
we
other
need,
comments?
do we need to address anything as far as the second egress on the unit and stuff? Would that be handled by Joe in the building department, or is that a condition we may need to add if this does get approved?
Well, Joe, I would assume that would be addressed at permit time, is that?
Yeah, a building permit would have to be pulled for the deck to be constructed, and it would have to meet building code requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other board members have any comments before I move? Okay, no comments, can I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is ZB 2012-37 for a variance at 835 Chempster Street to convert a single-family home to a two-family dwelling. I make a motion to approve.
Can I have a second?
Second motion?
Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Bailey?
Approved.
Mr. Belanger?
Approve.
Mr. Ahern?
Approve.
Mr. Parent?
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approved?
Okay, Ms. Katsaribas, you can come back up now after getting, can you come back up for a minute? I know I told you to sit down and get relaxed, but, so you've been approved, and, I guess we wish you the best of luck with your venture here. I have every faith that you're going to be there for many, many more years, so I
plan it.
appreciate, again, we appreciate the plans you submitted, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next order of business is still under new business, is ZB 2012-38, petition and special permit for signs. Applicant is Signorama. Property is located at 1075 Westford Street, and the petition is to install new internally illuminated signage for HBSS pursuant to section 6.3 of the zoning ordinance. Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Good. You
Yeah.
been before us?
Yes, I
Yeah, I
think so.
thought so.
I've been here a few times.
I thought you looked familiar.
Yeah, my name's Li Ping Swift from Signorama in Chelmsford, and representing HBSS Center located in 1075 Westford Street.
Yep.
Actually, they just asked me to change the color. If I know the document as submitted, which is blue, so they wonder if we can change it red, but I do have a copy for everyone.
Yeah, we received this one here. Yeah. You got a new and improvement? Okay, thank you. Oh.
Basically, there are two changes from the document. One is the color from blue to red, and the other one is the total length of the raceway. They reduced to 107.5 inches instead of, I think, 190 something, the original one.
Okay.
So it is internal illuminated LED channel letters on raceway.
Okay. All right, if you don't have anything else to add, I'll open it up to the public.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor, hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone like to speak in opposition? Opposition. Hearing none. That portion of the public hearing is closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Dennis.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad to see that it's not blue. I was a little disturbed with the blue tone. I thought it didn't work with the color scheme of the building. Not that the color scheme on the building is going to stay that way forever, but I think the red's an improvement, although the red is really bright.
I know.
Is it going to be that bright? What kind
Well, actually, LED at night is really bright. It's not a neon anymore.
I'm glad it's channel letters. I'm glad that it's LED. I'm glad there's a business in there that wants to advertise, and so I think there's a lot of pluses here. Big letters, big red letters. Okay. You have to do it. Okay, I think I'm just gonna get over it, I guess. I don't know. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you, Dennis. Kevin?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, what does HBSS, it stands for something? I'm just,
I think, actually, I don't really know. It's their business software. That's, I don't know H means what. I never really, good question. I never asked them, but I guess the SAS is standard for software something. I don't know, sorry.
I don't have a problem with the sign. I'm just curious. It's used for advertising, but I wouldn't drive by and know what it was based on the sign. That's, so obviously they're spending the money. They must think that it's gonna, at least people know that to find them.
Yeah, I think they named the whole building as this center, but I know he has another business. This owner has another business, transportation software design or something.
I'll trust it if he's going through the extent of paying for the sign that he knows
Yeah.
what he wants on there.
I guess.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the petitioner. Do you know what the hours of illumination are going to be for this light?
I'm sorry?
The hours of illumination, when it'll be on and off?
Oh, yes, it follow the regulations. We'll have the timer installed
Okay.
in the one of the control rooms, so there will be a timer there, yes.
So presently, down in the right-hand corner, is that an illuminated sign as well?
That's-
When I went to the property, it was,
That's, yeah, the Kuma sign,
Yep.
yes,
Okay.
same building, yeah.
okay, I do appreciate the reduction from 197 to 147. I think that's a nice compromise.
Me too. It's hard to install such a big one there.
I will say, I'm not really sure that with choosing this color, you might not even need the lighting. However, that is the request of the petitioner. So, that being said, I will make a condition that the light does not remain on after midnight.
Yes.
That's all, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Corey?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have a problem with this. You know, it's a beautiful new structure that, you know, really is a great piece to have in that location, and there's no residential to speak of across the street, so I don't see any issues. I do support it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Corey. Van?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Van. I guess the only comment I'll make, we received the communication from DPD, from Rachel Kisker, and Rachel had no objections, and as I've stated in the past, anytime Rachel gives a thumbs up on something, that's usually a good thing, so maybe some night we'll get Rachel back here so we can see her in the flesh for a change, but no, I took a ride by the property, and I guess I would concur with Kevin's comment about, you know, what was HBSS. Now, you mentioned something about timers when Gary asked the question about when the signage was going to go off. I don't know if you really answered the question. I know you said there's a timer, but do you have any idea what the applicant's plan is? Is it going to go off an hour after those businesses are closed, or?
Well, as a sign company, we advise them what the bylaws says, and so we put all those related equipment out there. So the timers, if you know, I don't have any tenants really, you know, when we told them you can't run this a whole night or until midnight or 10 o'clock, whatever. We haven't never really encountered those problems.
So what's the board comfortable with? Because I want to have a condition on there for when the lights are being turned off. I know we've done, you know, an hour or 2 hours, something to that effect, but any comments from any board members?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would be satisfied with 1 hour after all business closings, not to exceed midnight.
Okay. So I would like that as a condition, Mr. Clerk. And as the clerk is writing up the summary, yeah, I'm in favor of the petition as presented. And with that said, I will entertain a motion.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZBA 2012-38 at 1075 Westwood Street, for the installation of an illuminated sign. I'm making a motion to approve with the following conditions. The hours of illumination to be 1 hour after closing of all businesses within the structure, not to exceed midnight.
Could I have a second?
Second the motion?
A roll call?
Mr. Bailey?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Belanger?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Ahern?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Perrin?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approve with conditions.
Okay, you've been approved with conditions, and good seeing you again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Have a good night. Yeah. All right.
So that can- So the condition you want me to resubmit to you. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, our next matter before us is under other business, and this is an amendment request for the following previously approved items. This is ZB 2007-68. Petition is a special permit and variance. The applicant is North Kendall Properties, Inc., care of Burger King, number 452. Property is located at 392 Chelmsford Street. And it's in a RR Regional Retail District. Petition is to raise existing and construct new building with drive-through according to section 12.4G, with insufficient parking according to section 6.1, and to allow internally illuminated oversized relocated signage according to section 6.3 of the zoning ordinance. Is there a representative of North Kendall Properties? Good evening, sir.
Good evening. For the record, Hussein Sevinchkid with MHF Design Consultants out of Salem, New Hampshire, representing Burger King.
Okay.
The project in front of you was originally designed back in 2007. Project is the existing Burger King restaurant on Chelmsford Street. It was approved by the zoning board in January of 2008.
Yep.
And right around that time, approved by the planning board in January.
Was Attorney Elides the
Correct.
legal representative? Okay. Yep, thank you.
We were the civil engineers on the project, and we still are. Project was approved, and then within a few months, it was then appealed by the landowner to the back of the property. It went through, obviously, it was appealed in 2008, so it went through court. It was approved by the courts, and then I believe it was once again appealed. So then finally, at the end of last year, early this year, it was approved, and Burger King came to us and said, you know, we'd like to go forward with this project. Since the 2007, design, Burger King's images have changed slightly. The building footprint, initially they wanted to make a larger building footprint to meet their current, image and design standards. We met with the city back in March, and we said that, we'd like to make some changes, and, if we made drastic changes to the building footprint, then we would have to possibly go through the zoning board, planning board process again. Burger King went back. It was in early March that we met. They went back to the design, back to the drawing board, and made their equipment work within the building footprint that was approved. In front of you, the plans that you have also reflect some of the design changes, like menu board, preview board, things like that changes. Detail sheets mostly changed. I can go over, I have a comparison of what was approved and what's in front of you now as well. I have the board there. I don't know if I can take a microphone with me.
Sure.
One of those.
They don't bring the,
All right.
is it on?
Yep. So this is what's in front of you currently. This exact plan was what was approved in 2008. And this is, the current proposal. So what I've done is, it's not in your package, but we did a side-by-side comparison of what was approved back then and what's in front of you today. This was the initial proposal, and this is currently the building. It's the same exact building footprint. Previously, in 2008, there was a door coming out of the drive-through side of the building, landscaping in the front, and a vestibule for, another entrance on this side of the building. Current proposal, the door has been eliminated from the side. It's now in the front. So we've added some landscaping here, and we've basically just modified some of the landscaping in the front. So this long sidewalk is removed. It's a smaller sidewalk, so more landscaping. On this side, the other change, the vestibule, they added a wing wall so they can have their new prototypical tower above the entrance. So the entrance is still the same. The building footprint, once again, is still the same. There's just a wing wall here that accents their tower. Again, some of the changes, the menu board was updated to their current design standards. It has a canopy now to shield the customers. And the clearance bar, there was a clearance bar in the front here, actually right here. It still remains in that area. That's pretty much the same. The trash enclosure, exactly in the same location. Driveways, exactly the same location. Some of the other modifications to the plans were, we also met with the engineering department. There was some comments that needed to be addressed back in 2008. There was a separation project going on along Chelmsford Street. We had a drainage connection. We were separating our sewer and drainage. That has been built, obviously, since then. And we had to modify our grading, drainage, and utilities plan to reflect the as-built conditions that are out there. Those are the changes to the site. Trees, everything, landscaping is pretty much the same around the perimeter. Landscaping behind the building as well is the same. So the only changes were in this area.
What about signage?
I'm going to get into the signage. The signage still we're looking to relocate the existing freestanding sign still to the same location. The building signage, what was approved back in 2007, 2008, we were approved 3 total wall signs of 57 square feet. And what we have now is 3 total wall signs of 56 square feet. They're just repositioned on the building.
And how were those illuminated?
Those were, we received a special permit for internal illumination at the time.
All right.
So these were the signs that were proposed before. This is your front elevation facing the street, the rear. This is your drive-through elevation, and this is your side elevation to the right. So we had the 3 signs, 2, 3, that were approved back then.
Are those on the right-hand side of the building?
Correct. Yeah, they're on the right, so they're right here.
Yep.
And the current proposal.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question, sir. Would it be okay if I just stand a little closer so I can see? Would it be all right with you?
Sure.
So this was the previous proposal. Once again, no signage on the front, no signage on the rear, no signage on the drive-through elevation. These 3 signs have been just repositioned further away from the street over this tower area. So in the center of the restaurant. And instead of saying, Burger King, it says home of the Whopper. So in essence, we've lost, we're maintaining this sign. It's a little smaller. And then the Burger King, the text and the logo has been combined to say home of the Whopper.
Was there going to be a standalone?
Yes, the existing freestanding pylon sign will be relocated as per.
But was the height changing?
No, they were going to relocate the
The height is still, what's existing today, it's going to be the same height?
Correct.
Okay. I was trying to, something was bringing me back. For some reason, I thought it was going up a little bit higher, but I couldn't.
No, we had existing freestanding sign to be relocated.
Okay.
And again, in 2008, we received a parking variance. Were you the chairman at the time?
I wasn't the chairman. I wasn't the big shot back then. I was just a
But you were on the board?
peon like Dennis over there. I was on the end. I believe, I know there was, we talked a lot about the parking and I lose my train of thought.
Drive-through queue.
Is it a circular, are you coming in one way and exiting the other?
Correct.
There wasn't any two-way, correct?
There's no 2-way at all.
Yeah, I believe it was all circular, because your drive-ups on the right-hand side the rear. Now, the
Correct.
total number of parking spaces that were approved,
26. It's still 26, no changes to the
And how
parking.
many of those are handicap?
2.
Two. Joe, is that, I would assume that meets the requirements, right? They need at least,
Yes, it does.
yeah. And the two, are those on the right hand? They must be on the right-hand side.
Correct, they're right in front of the entrance, so basically these two are handicap and then
Yep.
the rest of the parking is around the perimeter.
Okay, thank you. Any comments by any of the board members at this point?
Yes, to you, Mr. Chairman. Now, if my memory serves me right, now, you cut down the amount of seating inside, is that correct?
From your existing restaurant?
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, okay.
From the existing restaurant, it's cut down, existing, I believe, has 90. This proposal will have 60.
Okay. Yeah, because if I do recall that this is aimed more as to growing your queuing, and aimed at more drive-through business than, and then dine-in, more or less, as appears to be where the industry's headed. Okay, well, I think it looks pretty good. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments at this point from any of the board members?
I just have a quick question
Sure,
through
go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman. I love this concept, but I just want to understand why you gave up that site in the back from parking to, I mean, I'm grateful,
They've,
but
it's a long, long process. They were in negotiations with the owner in the back, but at the time, they didn't agree. They didn't agree to the terms. So they decided to move forward with just the part that they owned. I guess they were leasing, or I believe they were leasing this from the owner in the back. So that's where, we went forward with this design. Like before we came to the zoning board in 2007, 2008, we were working on this project for about a year before that. Went through a few iterations of the design. So that property would go back to, the owner. The lease would, be terminated. So that's why the appeal process came about. The owner in the back appealed the project.
But just to be clear, the green space that you depict on the plan is not necessarily part of this approval. It could be developed at a later date and be something else, is that correct?
We did have those discussions in 2007, 2008 as well. Our proposal is any improvements that are on this property associated with Burger King would be removed.
Yep.
And Lowman Hydro Seed, basically, that whole area.
And to be developed at a later date? It's,
Not by us, yeah.
right, okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, anything else you want to add at this point, sir?
No.
Okay, thank you very much for the overview. I guess I'll open it up. So, Joe, now is this, how are we handling? Is this still a public hearing?
No, this isn't a public hearing. The board is to take a vote on whether or not the changes that were presented
Okay.
are a substantial material change to what was approved. If not, then that's it. If the board does feel that it is substantial material changes, then it would have to go back through the public hearing process as essentially a new petition.
Okay. All right, so with that said, are there any last comments before we,
I'd just like to make a comment that I see this as not a substantial change at all, and I think that it's, any changes that you made, which are minor, are improvements.
I'm in agreement with Dennis, Mr. Chairman. I think this certainly doesn't warrant a new petition whatsoever. Thank you very much.
okay. So are we taking a vote with this, Joe?
Yes, you would take a vote tonight. One thing I did want to say too, I think there was a little change in the back as well about enclosing the kitchen area, or was it the?
Oh, the, as I stated, the footprint was not changed, but our previous proposal, I don't know if you've seen other restaurants, the cooler and freezer area, they usually have made out of a separate material than what the building finish is. Burger King's new design incorporates that exterior finish to the building, so it all looks like one structure as opposed to a cooler. So that, it's the same exact footprint, it's just the material outside is changed.
Okay. Yeah, and like I had stated earlier, I was on the board at the time, and pretty much everything that was explained, that's the way I remember that. The only question I had was, for some reason, I thought there was they were going higher with the sign for visibility, but if it's the same size that presently exists, that's okay with me. Okay. Could I have a motion, please?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us, ZB 2007-68, the petition special permits and various amendments at 392 Chelmsford Street. Make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second motion?
Have a roll call?
Mr. Bailey?
Approved.
Mr. Belanger?
Approve.
Mr. Ahern?
Approve.
Mr. Perrin?
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approve?
Okay, sir, been approved. Wish you the best of luck with the project.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next order of business is still under other business. This is ZB 2011-54. The petition was a variance. Applicant Flood Law Office, property located 155 Westford Street. Petition to construct a single-family home without the required lot size pursuant to section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance.
For the record, Jim Flood, 549 Roger Street, Lowell, representing Bun Chung, who's here with me tonight. The house is finished. Everybody signed off except on the occupancy permit. And I guess that's why we're here tonight, because there were some changes made. And I think, Dennis, you were aware of them because of the topography of the lot. He had to bring the garage down because there was no way to build it on the lot. And he changed, I guess the people wanted an additional window in the attic so there'd be some airflow, and he did that, so there was a change to the plan. But that's basically what happened.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Flood, I guess the first question I have is, who ended up, I noticed the house went up for sale.
The what?
I noticed the home went up for sale, the lot went up for sale.
Correct.
And when you came before the board, I believe you came in here with a gentleman, right? That was purchasing the land, and that's why he was in here.
Right here, he's right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you living there, or are you?
No.
Okay, so I was under the impression it was being built, and this gentleman was gonna live there.
He's gonna sell it.
Excuse me?
He's gonna sell it. He's in the development business.
What I said was, I thought he was going to build a home to live there. I thought that's why it was being brought before us, and a neighborhood person actually showed up, and we were talking about, it would fit with the neighborhood.
Tell you, Dick.
So when I saw a for sale sign go up, I was kind of like,
No, I don't ever remember saying that, Mr. Bailey, that he was gonna live there. He's in the development business,
okay. All right.
and he has plenty of
All right,
different.
so we had a set of plans,
Right.
and they started building, and then
Right.
they ran into a problem.
Right.
Okay, so at that point, did they notify the city they ran into a
Well,
problem?
the city came out for inspections, and they signed off on everything. They signed it off on the foundation, all of the inspections. It wasn't until the end that this issue came about.
And the issue has to do with occupancy.
The issue has to do with an additional window, it's my understanding, with an additional window in the front of the building, and the garage had to be lowered down because of the topography of the lot. It was the only way you could build it.
Okay. So, Joe, who did the inspection and, you know, I've listened to what Mr. Flood just told me, but I just want to understand what was identified.
Have you got the sheet?
A number of inspections have been done on the property in terms of foundation, insulation, and the like. Upon a drive-by by the property, was noticed that what was approved by the board in terms of the garage being flush with the first floor entrance back in February when this was approved had changed, with the garage being under and essentially half a floor being added to the building. There's also difference in the windows and how they looked than what was approved, as there was no shutters or the sizable headers on the side. On the top and bottom. Also, the window had slightly changed with the attic window, as Attorney Flood pointed out. In the back as well, there's an additional staircase and additional windows that were put in because of the topography of the land, the additional stairway going down towards the driveway. That was not put on the plan before.
Okay. But again, this wasn't identified till everything was already built and the structure was up, correct?
Yeah, it was during construction. I mean, I have the sign-off sheet from everybody here.
No, I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to understand why you're here before us, and,
That's why we're here. But, I mean, I know Dennis brought this up at the time because of the topography of the slope of the land. I didn't realize it was that severe until I went out and looked at it. But it is, and that was the only way you could build it, so.
okay.
I mean, the footprint's the same. I think the elevation in the front of the building is basically the same except for the window. There are some additional windows in the back because he had to move the kitchen, but, I mean, if you look what they're looking at in the back, I don't think it's gonna make much difference, but I think it's basically the same building except for those minor changes.
Okay. All right. Comments from the board members? I'll start, Dennis. Do you have any comments?
I'd like to establish, through Mr. Chairman, how many square feet of living space is now added to the structure from what we had previously seen as plans drawn up and submitted?
You know?
We added about 400 square feet from the garage side.
So then that brings the total square feet of living area, excluding the garage, to...
Yeah, it'd come up to like 1,717 square feet.
Okay.
Instead of 1,317.
Right. That's a substantial change. Okay. I don't know if it would have been any different for us to consider smaller versus a larger, I don't know, but substantial change. Okay. The drawings that we have here tonight don't show, one consideration that I had asked for was exposed foundation wall to be limited. And we're looking at a fair amount of foundation wall still on site. And so I was just wondering.
No, it's limited on that side. I looked at it today.
It's under 2 feet.
It's under 2 feet.
It's under 2 feet, okay.
And he had to build a wall to do it. Yeah, it's under 2 feet, if you look at it.
We had to drop down the garage to the knee wall to lower down the foundation that you didn't want it over 2 feet.
Okay.
It's
I have to
there.
be, I'm glad.
Sorry.
I'll have to be more observant as I go see the property, I'm sorry. I'll trust you on that. And then what is the schedule for landscaping?
The whole front of the lot's gonna be landscaped.
Yeah.
What is the schedule? Is that going to be done this year?
As soon as the inside's done, we're gonna do the landscaping.
One more time, is it going to be done this year?
Oh, yes. Yeah, he's almost
Landscaping
done.
will be done this year?
Yeah, the landscaping will be done this year, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I think I understand what the changes are. Is there any additional work being done under the stair? Because we have a open kind of a deck-like looking stair at the front of the house. Is that how it's going to remain, or is it going to be?
You couldn't come down straight because.
No,
of,
I'm talking about like a lattice system or some kind of
Nothing,
more finished design there.
nothing planned, no.
Nothing planned there, okay. All right, no further questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kevin?
I don't have any further comments. I think I understand the changes and why they were made. It is a decent chunk more from a square footage standpoint, although it seems like the footprint is relatively the same in heights and things of that nature. So I have no further comments. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
I have no comments, Mr. Chairman.
Corey?
No comments at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Van?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Well, like I said, Mr. Flood, I really don't know why you were coming back in here. I was given the set of plans. I wasn't sure exactly what had changed. So we're increasing 400 square feet, and it's up to 1717?
That's the square footage of the lot now. We're not changing the footprint at all. That additional square footage comes about because we had to reduce the
Right, the
base.
living area is 1717,
Right.
right? So it was increased by 400.
Correct.
And the increase is located over the garage area? Is that
Yes.
fair enough to say?
Yes,
Okay. And that all happened because of the slope of the land?
correct.
Okay.
You can see he built a wall in the back too. I mean, it was a big drop there. I didn't realize how big it was.
Yep. Okay. All right, can I have we have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the matter before us is EB 2011-54, the property at 155 Westwood Street for variance. Make a motion to approve.
Second. Second.
Have a roll call?
Mr. Bailey?
Approved.
Mr. Belanger?
Deny.
Mr. Ahern?
Approve.
Mr. Perrin?
Approve.
Mr. McCarthy?
Approved.
Okay. The changes have been approved, and so, Joe, that's it now, right? There's no other, is that the final sign-off? Was that the final sign-off? Yep, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other business? Any members have anything they want to bring up? Joe, is there anything scheduled for our next meeting? Or are there any new petitions, I should say?
No, there's no new petitions for the next meeting and nothing continued to the next meeting.
Okay. So I guess the plan would be, we will not meet. Do I convey that through you, or is there any public notice we have to?
It'll be posted that the meeting is being canceled if there's no new, since
Okay.
there's no new business.
So our next meeting would be conducted on what date?
October 10th.
10th. Okay. Is that a Monday?
It's a Thursday of that week. It'll actually be October 11th, excuse me.
October 11th?
October 11th.
Okay. All right. Unless anybody has anything else, I'd like the motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second?
Second motion?
So moved.